Hey, so when we think about Loteria, we have a tendency to connect it, rightfully so, to Mexico and to Latin America in general, since it's a game that's often used in Latin American families and even found its way into the US with many Latinx families playing this treasured game. And those connections are absolutely there. And what I want to highlight too is that since they are card games and the notion of Loteria came into colonial Mexico via Spain, in the 18th century, what then connects it as well is different other notions, right? So we have the connection of Iberia, the connection of Italy, and then by those two connections, we're then connected back to the Islamicate world with both Iberia in general, but also the Memluk cards and the different four sets of suits, and then even this like Spanish Italian card deck that's connected with the tarot. So we have all these different connections, but the cool thing about the standardized Loteria deck that is most commonly used and recognized by most Latin American families is one that comes from Don Clemente Gallo. And Don Clemente Gallo variation of the Loteria from 1887 actually is thanks to France, because Don Clément Jacques was a famous French businessman, and he immigrated to Mexico in the 19th century, and he owned a bottling and canning business as well as a printing press. So he took advantage of all these different entrepreneurial endeavors, and in order to further promote his canned goods that he was giving and selling to soldiers, he then included his own version of Loteria. He would print out some on these tin plates. He had some cards little by little, and then eventually had his own set of cards, and it's most canonically known as the Don Clemente Gallo set that has the rooster. So why a rooster? The rooster is very important because it's emblematic of his home country, of France. So it's this connection to France that is part of this canonized Latin American card game that is used. And then something really curious about this set of Loteria, once it was standardized into 54 cards, thanks to Don Clément Jacques, the Catholic Church then created its own version in the 1930s, and they used that set of different cards to kind of teach about the Catholic faith. So they had different articles of clothing that priests would wear, of different rites and different connections, and they use the cards as kind of a pedagogical tool, something that's still used today, not necessarily through the Catholic Church version, but just the notion of Loteria itself as a way to teach vocabulary, connections, associations, and so there's lots that we can learn out of Loteria.